How can you want to impose democracy by killing millions of people? That's dictatorship, that's not democracy. It can't be imposed. Those who call themselves Democrats. But look, we've seen scenes where people were prevented from entering assemblies. We've seen scenes where forces stormed into assemblies to force the deputies to pass legislation. We've seen scenes worse than that, where people kill their protesters, yet they call themselves Democrats, and we are labeled as coup plotters. If this is democracy, I repeat, we do not want this democracy. And when you often see the incompetent, they don't seek to understand what the word democracy really means. They just cling to the definition he gave imperialism, and they start talking of democracy without really knowing the foundation. That's incompetence. We need to seek knowledge, to understand, to look at the world in order to redefine democracy the way we want it in Africa.
So while America argues over political slogans and party lines, nearly 700 people have reportedly been killed in just 3 days of election protests in Tanzania. Let that sink in. 700 lives gone, all because of the government blocking opposition candidates from being even put on the ballot. See, this is what happens when democracy becomes a performance instead of a promise. When leaders start deciding who gets to run and who gets to vote and whose voice gets heard, that's not democracy anymore. That's dictatorship with better branding. In Tanzania, people hit the streets, not for power, not for privilege, but for fairness, and they were met with bullets. The ruling party claimed they was maintaining order, but what kind of order kills hundreds of its own citizens for demanding representation? This isn't just about Tanzania. It's a warning to the world, because whether it's in Africa or right here in America or anywhere else, once a government learns that it can silence opposition and still stay in power, that silence spreads. It's how freedom dies, not all at once, but in pieces, in names, in headlines that get forgotten by next week. So as we watch this from afar, just remember, democracy is fragile everywhere. And if 700 people can die just trying to vote, then we owe it to them and ourselves. We never take ours for granted.
Alright guys, so here's a status update in regards to what's happening in Tanzania. Number one, as of this morning, Samia Suluhu has been announced as the winner with 97% of the votes. Now, of course, this is as per the Tanzanian Electoral Commission. There was no observers, no one was allowed to get up close and personal with those numbers and figures. So just have a look at this infographic to see the kind of cooking that was happening all the way out there in Tanzania. So the total votes that she got is 32,678,844, and around 800,000 of those were spoilt votes. So the actual vote she got is 31,913,866. A total of 97.66% of the total vote, which is probably why you'll see some people saying 98 because they've rounded up, others will be saying 97. Now, how did 31 million people vote for this lady when the voting stations were empty? People did not see a need to go vote for someone who is running against herself. But somehow she wants to lie to us that 31 million people showed up. Truly, CCM stands for Chama Chamadwanzi, people who don't like reasoning. The sitting president arrests the opposition leader, contests against herself, the citizens are discouraged, they don't go out to vote, and then you tell us 33 million people voted for you. That is a slap in the face of Tanzanians. And the sad thing about it is, I tend to believe they are willing to take it. Because, you see, maandamano or protests is a tool to fix wrongs or to bring attention to what is being neglected. Timing is key when it comes to maandamano. Today in Kenya, within this hour, if Ruto arrests Rigiji, next week he won't be president, or he'll have an ungovernable country. Same with Raila when he was alive, same with Kalonzo and many of the other leaders. But the Tanzanians, the moment they saw Tundu Lissu being arrested and being paraded in court like he's a repeat sex offender, yet he's an actual leader, they ought to have protested at that moment. Hii maandamano tunaona saa ya kura, it is late. It is very late. Even if you go and destroy all the polling stations in Mwanza, in Dodoma bado watapiga kura na area zingine. Arusha will still vote, and they'll count those ones and ignore the others. So the lack of interest at the moment of Tundu Lissu's arrest is what led to what we are seeing here today. A dictator running against herself and winning with 97% with fake numbers. I get that, yes, she won because alikuwa peke yake kwa ballot, but she inflated the numbers kuficha aibu. She has probably won this election with 1.5 million votes. Others refused to vote completely. Now, number 2, according to France 24, there's at least 700 deaths that have taken place under the hand of Queen Pin Suluhu Samia of Tanzania. In fact, here's the article from France 24. And I quote, the header reads, at least 700 dead in Tanzania's post-election protests, opposition says. And it goes on to say, hundreds of people have reportedly been killed in Tanzania after taking to the streets to protest this week's presidential election, which saw the increasingly authoritarian incumbent President Samia Suluhu Hassan run unopposed for another term after her main challengers were jailed or...
Those are the words of Captain Ibrahim Traore, which still is echoing in the ears and the mind of the African youth, because he said one thing, that it's either we fight or we remain slaves forever. And he accused African leaders of calling themselves democratic leaders while they're killing millions and thousands of Africans, innocent souls, innocent youths who are coming out, speak their voice, who are coming out to criticize the dictatorship, the imperialist, and everything that our African leaders are doing. Other way to support the imperialists, the foreign colonizers who are coming here not to build but destroy the African continent, destroying and killing the dreams and agendas and visions of the African youths, the African generation. So today we have come to experience what Ibrahim Traore was trying to mean. We have come to justify all the heaviest words that he was trying to tell the Africans, his fellow Africans. Because whenever you find this leader trying to speak, he don't mention his name, but he's speaking on behalf of the African continent and the entire Africans. Because he is a youth, just like we, many of us, majority, he is a youth. So when he came to power, he had his own agenda, not only for himself, not for his country, but for the generation and the generations of Africa, because he believed that his founders were trying to fight for this great continent. His founders, like Patrice Lumumba, like Kwame Nkrumah, like Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso, who was the founder coup. They tried so hard to resist, to make Africa independent, to make Africa not to depend on foreign aids, on foreign countries, and because as they pretend that they are coming to help us, that's when they come to destroy and kill and limit Africa, not to develop, not to achieve the agenda of uniting. Now, today we have come to see before our eyes the president, they call themselves democratic leaders, they're the one who are causing these deaths. They're the one who are causing these massive deaths. The people are dying without reasons, just because they demand their own rights, their freedom, their democratic way. Every Africa, when we put aside, because we believe that democracy is an illusion, it's okay. But again, we have at least to try using it. Every country in Africa is believed to be a democratic country. So why do Africans be denied the freedom and chance to practice or exercise the democratic way? Making an election is making a decision that will cost your life. Going to vote is not a joke. It's not something that you wake up, you go and play with it. Because whenever you choose or you predict that to that ballot box is what you are planning for your several years, like 4 or 5 years. So it will determine your life during that duration. So when you are given the chance or opportunity to go and make a decision through ballot box, then you have to make a decision that you believe that's not going to harm you, it's not going to waste your life. But in Africa today, every leader that ascends the positions, he or she don't want to give the people a decision. The Africans are not able to make their own decision to elect the leader of their own choice, but we are electing, or we are being led by the leaders who are being elected by themselves and who are being supported by the systems. Because if the African leaders, African continent or countries would have been getting the leaders of their own choice, then I believe and I think that Africa would have been a step forward. Africa will not be in a position that we are today, in a position that we are crying out each and every day. But again, this, I am talking mostly in the country of Tanzania. We have seen what has happened. Many have died. Many properties have been destroyed. The country is on flame. What reason? What's the reason? Because a dictative president who don't want to give opportunity to other people to come and vie for this position. And she believes that she is the only person that can be able to lead this country. She is the only person that can rule these people. That's why all this problem, all these massacres today is happening before our eyes. Now, what next for this country? Because even after all this has happened, even after all this crisis, chaos, and killings, the country's commission, electoral board commission, has gone on and announced the winner as the Samia Suluhu Hassan, because they are working under her leadership, under her dictative. So we cannot continue living like this. We cannot continue living a life of some people to predict for us, to choose and select how we have to live and who to govern us. But we as citizens were the one to make our own decision and decide that who we want to govern, him or her to govern us. So today, I will always and I will never ever stop saluting and hyping the name of Captain Ibrahim Traore because of all that he's doing. He came out and showed the African youth that this is the way. We have to fight, because freedom never comes. Freedom never given out, but it's something that you have to fight for. It is something that you have to sweat. You sacrifice your life to get it. That's why you see he made his bold decisions by expelling all French troops, by terminating all the contracts and the agreement that binds them with the French. That people came out speaking differently, but at the end of the day, everybody comes and bow before him, because he now today is the Lion of Africa. And this is not an end of the country of Tanzania, because we are saying that this is an end of dictatorship, and they are going to accept it whether they like it or not. So I am talking to the African youth. This is the journey that we have started, and we must complete it. This is the agenda that we have started to push, and then we must make it sure that we have get it to where it's supposed to be. We are going to liberate Africa. We are going to abolish all the puppetry governments and the lead and the regimes that's not there for because of the choice of the people, or it is. So just tell me about the comment section. And what's happening? And we'll meet another time as we come to speak and know much how the situation is happening and how everything is happening and it's going. Thank you, and be blessed. Reaching from, I love and appreciate you for being here. Be blessed.